Welcome back to the Talking Sports Podcast. I am your host, JD. I've got Jeremiah right here too.
What's up? What's up?
And with us today, we have our guy, Flammy Marciano.
What's going on, brother?
What's going on? So great to have you. For those of you who did not watch our videos in the past during the NFL season, Flam was on with us, just chopping it up with us, talking sports, talking about this NFL season, but the whole sports world is talking about the NFL draft that just took place this past weekend, Thursday through Saturday. And it was a huge event in Detroit. So it was huge for a lot of teams.
Man, it was, and there were some surprises for sure with specifically the Falcons taking Penix Jr., which is a pick I like, but I think it shocked a lot of people. So there's some definitely surprising picks, and we'll see how this draft unfolds for some teams coming up soon.
Yeah,
So
I think it's kind of similar to the Jordan Love pick. People
Yeah,
were like, why would you draft a quarterback in the second round if you plan on keeping Aaron Rodgers and you're paying Aaron Rodgers all this money? It's an
right.
investment. It's pretty
Yeah.
obvious it's an investment. So
yeah, definitely. Well, before we get too deep into the draft, we just want to talk about some NFL news that's happened over the past couple weeks. So, starting in Pittsburgh, we saw that they did not pick up Justin Fields' option, which makes sense for them because they pretty much got him for cheap with them with Chicago, uh, you know, with that trade, and so he was getting going to be getting 24 or 25 million. So pretty smart on their behalf to just not pick up his option. And that really doesn't mean that they're not going to keep him in the future. But, for right now, it's pretty much just a rental. So, not necessarily spending that money on him now, and they could use that money for something else. That
yeah, I think
is,
no, I was gonna say I was surprised, honestly. They didn't pick up a quarterback. I just feel like that was even in like the later rounds, I feel like they should have picked the quarterback. You're renting Russell for a year for
yeah,
dirt cheap, and you're not picking up Justin Fields, and he's not a promise either. So why not grow somebody within the organization? At least get a talent like they could have got Joe Milton from Tennessee for super duper cheap, but
right.
I'm not a GM, so
Yeah, that's true. Well, I thought it was very interesting because Dallas, they are, of course, they have Dak Prescott, but they didn't extend him.
mm,
So I'm like, okay, as a Cowboy fan, monitor that situation because Justin Fields next season might be something to look into.
mm.
I mean, I like Justin Fields,
Yeah.
and
Me too.
despite his struggles in Chicago, I think he can be a good quarterback, especially with some decent weapons around him. We saw what happened when he got DJ Moore. His play got so much better.
For sure.
Imagine if he had Keenan Allen.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Would have been crazy, right? You can
Yep.
Yeah,
only
very crazy. I was saying that on Twitter, like that's just been my thing. If you put the weapons around him that you put around Caleb, you
mm,
would still have your guy. Like he would still be there.
yeah. Yeah, it's like breaking up with the girl, and after y'all break up, then she want to start cleaning the house, then she want to go back to school, and she want to get a degree, then she want to get her license.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
like you could do this when I was with you. I feel bad for Justin, honestly. I feel bad for him.
Yeah. I do. I feel that 100%. But
Yeah,
I like the situation he's in. He's got the opportunity to do something and to prove himself. And with a team that believes in him, I think being under Mike Tomlin, which he's a player's coach, and that's why he's been there so long. He's liked by everybody.
yeah,
I haven't heard one player that said I can't rock with Tomlin.
Right.
yeah.
For sure.
But in other news, we saw the Detroit Lions spin, spin, spin.
Yep.
They paid. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 years, 120 million, with 77 million guaranteed. They also paid Panay Sewell 4 years, 112 million, with 85 million guaranteed. Huge contracts, extensions for really good players, and those are the linchpins of the offensive line and the wide receivers for.
Mhm.
So very important to lock those guys down for sure.
I think not just because I'm a fan, but I really like Detroit taking the Browns kind of strategy. Like you're known for being dirt, but once you get a foundation, you invest in that foundation and you build on top of that. Kind of similar to when we picked up Joel Bitonio when he was younger, locked him in for some years, locked in Myles Garrett, you lock in Nick Chubb. That's a good solid foundation to build upon, because now I think they have to pay Aiden Hutchinson if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like that is like the best you can do. You lock in your trenches, you lock in your pass rush or DB, and I feel like they're going to be good for a long time, man. Like it wasn't a one off for sure with Detroit. I feel like they're legit going to be here for a while.
Yeah, they are, and we'll talk about it. But they added some pieces in the draft
Mhm.
that are gonna just add to what they already have. But on the flip side, we saw some teams and players that didn't get paid. So let's talk about the Bengals for a little bit. And I know, Flam, you'll have something to say about this for sure. But Bengals, T. Higgins, and Trey Hutchinson, they both requested trades from the organization, and we'll see what happens. When you request a trade, the organization doesn't have to trade you, but um, they're unhappy with their situations and their financial situation. So,
Yeah.
interesting for sure. I'm really
I'm so happy.
surprised that I'm really surprised that they didn't get traded. I mean, the Bengals, they needed more picks, I feel like, and they could have gotten more picks. And I'm
Mhm.
surprised. I mean, maybe some teams did reach out. Maybe it just wasn't the right picks for what they wanted. So who knows?
I thought T. Higgins was your number two receiver for the Bengals, so I'm really surprised he didn't get paid. But Trey Henderson, I guess I get a little bit more, but still surprising that they didn't really decide to pay either one of them.
My whole thing is Cincinnati they've always been a cheap organization
Yep.
since
Yeah.
before I can remember, and it's biting them in the butt every 2-3 years, every single time. So
Yeah, they're definitely gonna have to pay Jamar Chase. So
Yeah.
maybe they're preparing for that because he's gonna
Mhm.
get the top money.
Gotta get his.
So speaking of top money, the Eagles for wide receivers, they spent a lot as well. They paid AJ Brown 3 years, 96 million. Devontae Smith 3 years, 75 million, and they paid Jordan Mailata also 3 years, 66 million, with 48 million guaranteed. So
Money.
they locked those guys down, and they brought in a lot. We'll definitely be talking about the Eagles for sure. But
Mhm.
let's get into the draft. And we saw the number one pick. No surprise to anybody. Caleb Williams goes number one overall to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I want to hear you all's opinions on this pick, because for a little bit there was a little bit of controversy on whether or not they should keep Justin or take the pick, trade the pick. It was a lot of conversation regarding it.
Right. Me personally, I feel like you should have kept Justin. Just because it's something about being familiar with an organization you've been with for 4 to 5 years. He's familiar there. He's loved there. It's not like the city wanted to kick him out of Chicago, and Chicago's a big sports city. So if Chicago fans love you, that's saying something. I feel like though all those moves they just made, they could have kept and Like I feel like at pick one, you can trade back. With pick one, you can get 2, 3 first rounders out of that. That's like trading a number one quarterback, you know. So you could have got 2 to 3 more first round picks out of that. Still got you Joe Alt. Still got you a elite receiver in the draft. Still could have signed Keenan, but I guess the new GM they got. I think Ryan Poles or something like that. I guess that wasn't his guy, and he wanted to draft his guy, and he got him. But I'm keeping Justin Fields personally. Like you saw him, like you said, you saw him with DJ Moore. Imagine adding Keenan Allen. Imagine adding. They still could have got Roma. They probably could have got Marvin Harrison. Honestly,
Yeah.
I just feel like, and that defense was playing like a top 5 defense the last 6, 7 games of the season. But like I said, I'm not a GM, so I don't know what they saw. But going with Caleb Williams isn't a bad pick either. So
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Flam. I feel like Fields showed kind of his promise towards the back half of last season after he got back healthy. I personally don't think Caleb Williams is gonna succeed at Chicago. I'm not a hater or anything, so I'm not gonna, I don't wish him bad at all.
Yeah.
I feel like Fields was the right play to keep. Like you said, he was familiar with the organization, already there. You're adding more weapons around him. He's only going to get better. He's only going to develop. This is what, his third year, or second?
Coming up. It's about to be his 5th. Honestly, I think.
Fifth? Yeah, I believe so. That's the option.
Yeah, that's right. The option.
Yeah, almost half a decade. So
right. So yeah, I mean, him being that familiar with the organization, I feel like this year, if he could have stayed healthy, would have been Fields' year.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see what Caleb Williams can do with the pieces around him as well. But I still think he's going to need time to develop.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I would have stuck with Fields too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I just watched him in Ohio State, and sometimes it takes time. A lot of quarterbacks aren't going to come right in and be Patrick Mahomes. That's
right.
That's not
pretty rare.
So
the GOAT.
But yeah, I agree with y'all. I've liked Justin Fields ever since then, and the optics around Caleb are different than a lot of quarterbacks that come in. He's been a polarizing player. A lot of conversation regarding whether he's ready for the NFL, whether he can be a guy, be a dude in the locker room, and is he a diva? Is he a leader? Like things like that. My personal opinion is I think more than any other first round quarterback that's ever been taken, I think NFL teams are gonna want to really come in and try to shut him down, like just to prove that this is the NFL. This is where real men play, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to see, but I don't know if a lot of people really rocking with him like that.
Yeah, I feel like he definitely put a target on his back just with the asking for like stake in the team, threatening to hold out if he goes to a place he doesn't like. I feel like you said, GMs don't like that, coaches don't like that, and NFL veterans definitely don't like that. So I feel like that first game against Detroit's gonna be a slobber knocker. First time he faced. I was looking at the Bears schedule, like he faces some scary pass rushes. And the first person to get that Caleb sack, man, they're gonna get highlighted.
Yeah, they're
crazy sellies, man. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. He's gonna have to prove he's a leader. And I think he's shown glimpses of that at USC, but also still a little bit of a question mark there. I don't know how vocal he is, and leading you're the QB. Like a lot of teams rely on the QB for everything. So we'll see how he can do there.
I would love to see him against the Niners because Justin Field played the Niners. They won. That's all I'm saying. They play the Niners this season, so it should be fun.
Yep.
Yeah, it should be. We're definitely going to be looking forward to those games. Don't get me wrong; they're going to be must see. They're definitely gonna be
Oh, yeah.
must see. Their offense, they got a new offensive coordinator, so we'll see how that gels and everything, and a lot of new pieces. They've pretty much revamped the whole wide receiver room from last season,
Yeah.
so it's gonna take some games. It's gonna take some time to the process, but they got the names. But
Yep.
the game isn't played on paper; it's played on the field.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we'll definitely see how that goes. So let's get into a little bit of the trades that happened, especially in the first round. There's a lot of trades in this draft. It's a really trade heavy draft.
Mhm.
But some of the more impactful trades that we saw in the first round, and it started with the Vikings moving down to the 10th spot, and they traded with the Jets. The trade specifically trade the 10th pick and the 203rd pick for the 11th and a fourth and fifth rounder, and we saw them draft J.J. McCarthy, quarterback of Michigan, and the Jets got Olu Fashanu. So that was pretty. A lot of people in their mock drafts were projecting that the Vikings were going to trade for JJ, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think that really made sense. They could have still got JJ at 11. The Jets weren't going to get him. And
Right.
if I'm not mistaken, they picked right after 10.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're definitely in a rebuild if you're Minnesota, so you need all the draft capital you can get. I don't know. I feel like it was a bad trade, but I mean the Jets are happy, so great for the Jets, obviously. But if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm looking at that like nobody was trading up to 10 to get JJ McCarthy. And then right after that was the Broncos. I don't think they were looking at JJ McCarthy because they sat there and they got their guys. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, you said something interesting. You said the Vikings in a rebuild. I disagree. I think they're trying to win now because you still have Justin Jefferson. You got weapons, and I feel like they just needed a replacement quarterback, Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
But again, that division is going to be tough.
yeah.
NFC North is going to be,
one of the best.
in my opinion, I think it's going to be the best division in football this season.
Yeah.
It flips sometimes, and I think this is the one that's gonna be the one where you can see maybe 2 or 3 teams get in. But Jeremiah, your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I don't think you had to necessarily trade for the 10th pick to take JJ there, but I think I like the Vikings' second pick at 17 going with Dallas Turner a lot more than JJ. But yeah, that division is going to be tough. I wish the Vikings well, but I don't think they're going to be able to match Green Bay or the Lions in that division. So
I don't think they'll be able to match Chicago, to be honest with you.
yeah,
It's their division kind of reminds me of when the AFC North started to get their mojo. Lamar 2018 draft, Baker 2018 draft. I think Joe Burrow was 2020 draft. And I feel like, all those guys kind of made that division what it is now, which is one of the scariest division to play against. I think the AFC North had like the best record against outside divisional opponents. I feel like the NFC North is starting to become that. Teams are starting to get their quarterbacks. There's some scary defenses in that division now. I don't want to play against Detroit's defense. I don't want to play against Chicago's, who started to emerge at the end of last season. Like you said, that Minnesota pick at 17, so you get your quarterback and you get a generational pass rusher to replace Danielle Hunter. That's a scary division, man. I'm glad I get to focus on my AFC North and not these young guys coming in to destroy. So
That's true. Right. Exactly. Yeah. But Jeremiah, you mentioned Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner has a chance to be defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
When he got drafted, I just saw, and he had his glasses on, but I saw his look. He looked like he was about to come in and try to wreck the league. Like he should have been drafted in the top 10, no question about it. And so the chip on his shoulder is gonna be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, a defensive player wasn't picked until 15.
Yeah.
That's insane. It just shows you where the league is going right now. It's high-powered offenses. So
yeah. Yeah, for sure. So to continue on with the trades, we saw Jacksonville. They traded. That was the trade for Dallas Turner.
Mhm.
Jacksonville had 17, and they traded back to I believe 23.
That's
I want to say.
That's right.
And they got Brian Thomas Jr. Great wide receiver from LSU.
Mhm.
Uh, a need for them, absolutely, and somebody that can produce right away in that
Mhm.
offense.
I thought it was a cool pick.
Yeah.
That 23rd pick was ours originally. So to see it go from Cleveland to Houston to Minnesota to Jacksonville, I'm like, dang, maybe we should have got it back. You trade up into
Exactly.
the first, but
Like that's the thing. I was doing my research, and it was like from Houston to Philly to
mhm.
like teams are just trading like
Yeah,
crazy. So
nobody wanted that 23rd pick. So I'm like, bro, dang, give it back to us then. So,
exactly.
but I feel like Brian Thomas Jr. is a great pickup. Of course, with the departure of Calvin Ridley to Tennessee, who I thought was actually going to do great in Jacksonville. I guess not. Trevor Lawrence gets a weapon. I feel like Trevor Lawrence is on the hot seat, which is a conversation that might need to be had very, very soon.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, you put weapons around the guy, you let him cook. Trevor Lawrence, I'm not saying he had the greatest weapons in the world, but to be a number one overall pick and have Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne, I feel like that should have been enough. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was Calvin really was there what 2 seasons or just one?
let's see, one season. I think just
One
this season.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for his production, he wanted a little bit more than what he could give, I feel like.
Mm,
And I feel like you could get that production in another guy. And I think that's why they didn't pay him. So
mm,
I'm not mad at it, but I think the people that they brought in, they got with Gabe Davis, and we'll see what he is outside of Buffalo.
yeah.
But getting Brian Thomas, I think he's gonna be the number one for sure. So getting him in, getting him acclimated, it's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah. I definitely feel like Trevor Lawrence or whoever's the offensive coordinator over there, they need to focus on the run game more. I feel like Travis Etienne, he's a great, great receiving back, but I feel like his potential in between the tackles is untapped because it's there. I've seen it. Like his run after the catch, his vision is freaking insane. I feel like they should focus on a little more RPOs, a little more zone. I feel like that offense can cook a lot more than what it has been. Although Trevor has been injured, but that's another part of the game. He's low key injury prone as well. But I feel like whoever the OC over there needs to lean on the run a little more.
Yeah, and they addressed the running back room. They did get Kalen Robinson out of
Mhm.
Texas, so we'll see what he can do, and
Yeah.
maybe get a change of pace back, a little more speed, and we've seen some injuries from Travis Etienne too lately. So just in case he gets dinged up or whatever,
Yeah.
they got another guy in the room. A team that drafted a running back. In the later rounds. Why not draft a running back? Just to help out your running back room.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
and I'm saying that because my Cowboys did not draft a running back,
Man.
and they're thinking about bringing Zeke back. So yeah, that's always fun, right? Yeah, of course.
Man. Deuce Vaughn, RB1, baby.
I'm
Let's
gonna,
get it.
I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh so hard if Zeke comes back and if he
Man.
especially if he plays a lot, man. I'm gonna just make a video. I'm gonna pull a Stephen A. When the Cowboys
Man.
lose in the playoffs, I'm just make a video, just start laughing.
And
Man.
that's why I have this Chiefs shirt on because um, we're just we're not all in. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's kind of like when it's like at the end game when Captain America and Thor are walking up to Thanos and he's like,
Yep.
Zeke is Thanos, and he's like, look where your unfortunates have brought you right back to me. I am inevitable. So shout out to Zeke, man. Get that bag, brother. I hope they get him.
Well, I mean, I feel like they're only trying to bring him back because of goal line and the lack of
Mm,
goal line presence that we had. And for I mean, for that I can understand, but
yeah,
you can get a guy for that. You don't have to go
yeah,
back to your old thing. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I
There were
digress.
some good running backs available in the fourth, fifth, sixth,
Yeah,
seventh round.
yes,
Yeah, bro.
yes.
Like, man,
I wanted Blake Corum so bad. That's who I wanted as a Cowboys fan. That's what I like. Please,
I think he
please.
would have been perfect there, to be honest with you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah, a running back I was big on was Isaac Garendo. Like even before the because I watch any college Kentucky team. I watch Western Kentucky, UK, Louisville, Bowling Green. I watch all their games because that's where I'm from originally. Isaac Garendo was always somebody I wanted, and then after the combine, I'm like, well, there we go. So I feel like he would have been a perfect RB1 in Dallas, but Niners picked him up. Greedy,
Yeah.
greedy, greedy.
that's another unfortunate thing. But
Yeah.
yeah. Were there any other trades that caught you guys' eye that we want to discuss right now?
One that kind of irritated me was the Bills trading with the Chiefs again.
Yeah. Makes 0 sense.
Why
Yes.
you
Right,
why?
right.
Don't get it.
And it's not even like they asked for a lot. Like they
No.
gave up, was it the 27th pick and just traded back to 32, and then they traded 32, or not 32. The Bills, yeah, Bills traded 32 to the Panthers.
Mhm.
So the
Right.
Chiefs got the fastest guy to ever run at the combine, got capital out of it later on. I don't know. I don't know. If I'm the
I
Bills,
feel
bro,
like
I would have asked for more.
yeah, and yeah, it's just and surprisingly they drafted with the 49ers too. I said on Twitter that
Yeah,
the Chiefs are just toying with teams now.
Yeah.
Like
Seeing what they can
yeah.
get.
They're bored. Andy Reid was like, I don't make a splash.
exactly. But now that's gonna be interesting though. The Xavier Worthy pick was going crazy on Twitter. Um, fastest guy. People are saying that, Chiefs are back to their old Tyreek days
Yeah.
when they were just throwing bombs downfield. And so they may not have the best wide receiver room, but they definitely have the fastest wide receiver room.
You can't
Hollywood
just run.
Brown.
Yeah, because that was exactly that was a way to stop the Chiefs is to run man across the board because Kadarius Tony doesn't scare anybody man
No.
defense. MVS doesn't scare anybody man defense. Rashid Rice, he did pretty good for what they were asking him to do, but mostly they bracketed Travis Kelsey. You can't do that now with 4-2-1 Hollywood
No.
Brown, Rashid Rice, and Kelsey. Like there's going to be holes in that defense, and the arguably the greatest quarterback of all time is going to find them. So I know
Yep.
Andy Reid is getting back to his schoolyard plays right now
Yeah.
as we speak. So
Yeah.
Drawing up lines all the way down the field. So
yeah, it's just gonna be. I'm so glad I'm not. Whoa, so glad I'm not in that division.
yes, definitely. Let's see. We also had Cowboys and Lions make a trade. Cowboys traded back,
yep.
which I was not happy about, but the Cowboys have just been weird this offseason, so I didn't really put anything past them. They traded back to the uh 20 24th pick. Well, they traded 24th pick to the Lions, draft back to 29. The Lions get Terry and Arnold, a cornerback from Alabama. And we see another Alabama guy going to Detroit. So he's gonna pair nicely with the safety that they have. I forget his name right now. But Cowboys get Tyler Guyton, O lineman from Oklahoma. So they both address needs there with that pick. So not the splash pick that I think everybody wanted, including Michael Parsons, but they get a guy, and hopefully he'll be kind of like Tyler Smith was, kind of raw, talented, and able to be groomed into whatever they need, I guess.
Yeah, I like the pick. They took best tackle available, which was a glaring need. Um, I still think once again Jerry Jones talking too much to the media put this target on Dallas because everybody heard all in, and we have yet to see it. And we thought we were going to see it in the off season with trades or free agency. Didn't get it. Thought we were going to see it in the draft. Didn't get it.
Didn't get it. Oh.
So I don't know. Like, I mean, what team workouts start in May, late May, mid May for a lot of teams, and I don't think there's too many more opportunities for splash plays now. So
Yeah, no. When everybody was confused, and including me, about what all in meant, but once everything started to happen or not happen, then I kind of understood what he meant. Basically, this season is this season, and we're all in on this season. Not all in on players. We're not all in on trying to get a championship. We're just the players that we have right now. That's who we got. We're not paying you. If you don't do well, you're gone. If you do well, then we might pay you after that.
Yeah.
But and to be honest, after the last season ended with that terrible game against Green Bay, I said, if you get to the playoffs, we'll talk then.
Yeah.
If not, then oh well, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
So that's where I am in my Cowboys fandom. So
I think you guys are holding out for Shador next season.
Shador and Prime, Coach Prime.
That's exactly what I know. I know Jerry and Prime are talking behind the scenes. I already know it. I see it. It's gonna happen. I'm willing to bet money on it. If there was a bet for it, I would put money on it.
So, I mean, there's a bet that he'll go number 1 next year already. He has the best odds for it. So
maybe Jerry Jones is pulling a Kevin Feige, and he's a Marvel fan, and he was talking about not this season but next season.
Right.
All in, trade up to number 1, get Shador. That's the most Jerry Jones pick. Prime would love it. Prime might literally leave Colorado to come coach at Dallas if he can get in. So, and it just makes sense for Shador to go to Dallas with CD, all those weapons. Yeah, man, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
That'd be crazy if that happened, because that team is, if they keep what they have, they're set up to win now. So
yeah, I'm willing to bet money. Shador to Dallas is going to start picking up halfway through the college season, man.
Well, I mean, when you think about Jerry and what he wants to do, he wants to put people in the stands.
Yep.
He wants everybody to be talking about them every single day, every single sports show, and that would definitely do it
for sure.
That would
be a topic for the whole season. Every week, every game would be a topic on ESPN.
Bringing Deion and Shador.
Bro, the Shador way. Come on, bro. You can sell shirts. Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I see it now.
Play me my theme music.
Prime got the quotes. Jerry Jones got the money to fund it. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, if that's what's going on, then I'll give them that.
Don't let y'all have 2 picks and get Travis. Don't let that happen.
Man, listen.
Don't let that happen.
Ain't no way.
One thing the Cowboys don't need is corners. I think we're good on corners, but Travis, wide receiver too. So
play anywhere. Safety, receiver, corner.
Somebody's gonna be willing to give up multiple firsts for Dak. That's all I'm gonna say.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree as well. So let's move on. Let's talk about the most surprising pick, and I think this is probably going to be unanimous.
Yep.
Most surprising pick of the draft or first round or whatever. Atlanta at 8. That's what it is for me. Drafting Michael Penix Jr. When this came down the pipeline, I was floored. I was not expecting it at all.
Yeah. When that happened, I was at this place called Smoke Eaters, just like a chicken spot where a lot of people go to watch sporting events. And when it happened, I wasn't shocked initially, and then I heard my friend go, "But they just signed Kirk," and that's when my brain turned on, and I'm like, "Yo, They did just
right.
spend stupid amounts of money for Kirk Cousins, who's pushing 40, coming off of an Achilles injury.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like I'm more mad. It made me more angry at the Kirk signing and not necessarily the draft pick, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're sitting at 8, so you're telling me that if your guy fell to you at 8, which was very possible, because we kind of knew the first 5 to 6 picks was going to be Caleb, Jaden or Drake, Drake or Jaden. 4 was going to be Marvin. 5 was going to be Joe Alt or Malik Neighbors. And that left, like, I don't know. I feel like that was a weird signing, especially to give Kirk all that. You could have got Tannehill for dirt cheap if you wanted to go
Right.
veteran and, sit Michael Penix. Shout out to all my Falcons fans. I'm praying for y'all. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Well, Penix, I mean, when they showed him, he looked like he was Atlanta ready. I tell you that.
Yeah, he did look happy. He must have
He
knew.
was
He must have
playing.
known.
Yeah, he really put that on. He really had it on. But
Yeah.
I had the opposite reaction of you, Flam. I was surprised at first, and then I was like, oh wait, he's got a quarterback that's 36. And so it makes sense to me just because you don't know what you're gonna get.
Right.
But unfortunately, that was the asking price for Kirk. I mean, quarterbacks, they're going for a lot. So
Yeah. I mean, Daniel Jones getting 40 M's.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I mean that in itself is crazy. But so you don't know what you're gonna get with Kirk coming off the Achilles, and it's so bringing a quarterback of the future that can develop a little bit, and may not have a lot of time to develop depending on the status of Kirk Cousins. So yeah, that was my thought process about it.
Yeah, I definitely was surprised and shocked to begin with. I knew they signed Kirk, and I was like, why go with Penix there? But I think it's a better situation when you draft a young QB and you have him sit for a year or two and then have him play. I mean, when you see people like Jordan Love, who's a baller, other QBs in the past, like Rodgers, for example, like QBs that have just been able to learn under a veteran and then be able to play.
Mahomes said for
yeah.
I don't think it was a full year. Maybe it was, but
Right.
he behind Alex Smith, he wasn't brought in initially, and he was the number 10 pick. So
I mean, Dak was gonna sit if Romo came back super healthy. So
right.
He was going to sit.
Yeah, he was.
So I feel like it's a better situation there, but I still think this is really surprising, only because Penix did have some injuries. But I don't know. I think he can be NFL ready. They develop him, give him time. Kind of reminds me of Tua a little bit. That's what I think of. So if he can develop, I mean, maybe they got a pot of gold there next year. We'll see.
I have Penix as the second best quarterback in the draft, just simply off of success. Talent, his accuracy is insane. I mean, he played against a Michigan defense who was coached by Harbaugh, who was the most NFL-minded guy to ever coach in college, possibly.
Right.
And so for him to face this NFL-type defense, and a lot of those defensive Michigan guys got drafted early. So obviously there was something going on over there that NFL scouts saw, and Penix faced them on the biggest stage in college football. And he fought, man. I'm not saying he had the perfect game, but his receivers dropped some passes.
He played well.
I like him. He played pretty good. He fought and he didn't give up. You saw his body language in the second half. It was just like the game was just starting. So I feel like if I do get a quarterback not named Caleb Williams, I would want a Michael Penix because Jaden Daniels, injury history, plays reckless. Drake May, I'm still not convinced. I don't trust North Carolina quarterbacks after Trubisky.
Sure.
And,
we're gonna talk about that too.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people he ran well And
Mhm.
that surprised a lot of people. And it surprised me. I didn't think what was it 4-4.
Michael Penix, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna be 4-4.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I think that surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he throws his throw power is crazy. Like
His arm strength is
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's left-handed like Tua, but he
Right.
throws a much harder ball
much harder.
than
Yeah.
Tua does.
For sure.
He's a bigger, stronger, faster
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
well, faster Tua. So
Definitely
um,
faster.
if they didn't have Kirk, this would be a no-brainer.
Right.
But it's just a weird situation. Kind of like it kind of reminds me of the Warriors and how they were trying to win now, but they were also trying to draft young guys too. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like, what do you really want to do in your organization?
Yeah. I didn't like their
And a lot
second
of
round
people are
pick
also talking
either.
about second round pick. Go ahead. Who was that?
It was Rook Ororo, I believe, the D tackle
Okay,
from
yeah.
Duke. They picked at the top of the second round, and I feel like there were so many better players they could have went with there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Cooper DeJean was up there, and their defense isn't that good right now. They got some pieces with Grady Jarrett and AJ Terrell, of course, but I feel like
Yeah.
they should have definitely went with a more plug and play NFL ready guy.
Yeah, Aurora from Clemson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
he can be decent. I
Mhm.
just I don't know. Dallas Turner was just a pick to me. They needed help on the edge.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't. I think that they might have addressed that later on, but again, the quality of player
Decrease.
is not
Yeah.
there.
Right.
But yeah, that was a very surprising pick. But let's get into Drake May. You mentioned North Carolina quarterbacks. Um, I'm not sold on him either. I just think, we've seen North Carolina quarterbacks in the past. Trubisky, former Washington quarterback, and now what? Seattle? Is he with Seattle now?
I don't know.
What's
I
his
gave
name?
up on that guy.
No, not Trubisky.
Oh,
The old Washington quarterback. I forget his
Oh,
name,
Sam
but I
Howell.
think Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's
Yeah.
with Seattle now, backing
Mhm.
up. Gino, backing up Geno Smith. So yeah, no, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, I think he could have used a little more time, but he knew that
Yeah.
his draft stock was high, so he went. We'll see what happens. So
I feel like it's another like Mac Jones scenario. I don't know. Like I just don't feel like it's gonna work out. But also, I don't think the Patriots are gonna have a good QB for a while. I mean,
Mhm.
after having Brady for that long, like the NFL gods are like, okay, you're not gonna get a good QB for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then if I'm not
okay,
mistaken, somebody told me that Drake May's dad played for North Carolina. I didn't know that. He played quarterback, which is crazy. And he was pretty good.
so
I
like
didn't know that.
their whole
No idea.
family played some type of sport in North
Yeah.
Carolina. Like
Yeah.
Luke May he played basketball
Yeah.
for North Carolina.
Yeah. So, but the
It's pretty
whole like North Carolina, like TJ Yates, Sam Howell, Mitch Trubisky, it's just when I hear
Yeah.
North Carolina, I don't think of quarterback. So,
no.
but that could just be me
Well, I
being
mean
childish. So,
they're not really a football school. Like I mean,
yeah.
um, their coach, I forget his name right now, but he kind of put them back on the map.
Hmm.
With trying to be a football school, and they've had some decent success. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
you know, when you think of ACC football, you still think Clemson, Florida
Hmm.
State, and
Yeah.
maybe
Exactly.
Miami. If you're
Yeah.
older,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
but yeah, that we'll get into quarterbacks a little bit later. But let's talk about the most disappointing team. And you might already know mine. Probably already mentioned it, but it's the Cowboys for me. Just I feel like the Cowboys draft they don't want, and this is sometimes this is not all the
Mhm.
time because they draft Micah Parsons, but they don't want the big name guys for whatever reason. They don't want the guys that are at the top of the draft board. They want to get those middling guys, and so they're my most disappointing team in the draft. Even though
That's a good one.
they drafted some pieces of need, but
Yeah.
still, it's just
Yeah.
like no.
I was Dallas was mine, but just to not piggyback off of you, I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals. Just because we play them twice a year, and these last 5-6 years, Joe Burrow has beat us once. So I'm just going off of what they need to beat us, and they didn't go for it. They picked up Amarius Mims at tackle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even
that's right.
then, Amarius Mims has consistency issues because they don't know. They have 3 tackles now. So they signed one and they signed the other and they drafted one in the first round. You can only play 2 tackles at a time, and you're not putting a 6'8" tackle at guard or center because how the fluff is
Absolutely not.
Joe Burrow going to cook over the middle exactly. But and then after
Right.
that, it was just a bunch of like no, they didn't even pick up a good receiver until the 4th or 5th round. And T.
Right.
Higgins is most likely gone, if not this season, next season for sure. You're gonna
Right.
have to pay Jamar Chase. Tyler Boyd already left. You don't have a starting tight end. Joe Mixon is gone. Joe Burrow is super. I think Joe Burrow is one more career injury, season-ending injury away from being like a Mark Brunell or like a Chad Pennington. Dude's
Yeah.
talented, but if you can't keep him upright, it doesn't matter. I'm still
Exactly.
upset. And I'm a Browns fan. I'm upset that they even put him out on the field after he had that strained calf injury, which I thought it was a strained Achilles. The fact they didn't
Yeah.
let him rest that was just organization. It was just nasty, nasty work from the Bengals. And like I said, you're gonna have to pay Jamar Chase, and you know he's gonna hold out because if Justin Jefferson gets paid before Jamar Chase, Cincinnati is going to have not only the biggest quarterback contract, they're going to have the biggest wide receiver contract. And there's no way you can sign good, healthy offensive help via free agency with those 2 contracts tying you down.
Yeah.
Right.
As a Browns
Yep.
fan, if that's what they want to do, I'm fine. Go ahead and cook. But if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm pissed off right now.
Yeah, and they did draft Jermaine Burton from Alabama 3rd round. He was decent. He was decent wide receiver. But they, like you said, they lost Joe Mixon, and they are also another team that did not address the running back room in the draft. So we'll see what they're gonna do as far as running back situation goes. Jeremiah, who was your most disappointing team in the draft?
Mine was the Buffalo Bills. You mentioned it earlier, Flam, but trading with the Chiefs, which is a team you have to beat if you want to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Making them get better just doesn't make sense. You passed on Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell, which 2 receivers I think better than Keon Coleman. So
I agree with you.
yeah, I don't know what's going on there. They need help on receiving. So, and they also lost a lot of guys on defense that were older as well. So it's going to be a really young team.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen there, but I feel like the GM could have been a little bit smarter with who they got.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have to play some young players in some important positions and have to rely on Josh Allen to just do everything. Run the ball, throw the ball, catch the ball.
Yeah. I feel like we're gonna see him go back to like year 1, year 2, Josh Allen, where he was super leg dependent, which isn't the smartest way. Numbers wise, he might put up some insane fantasy numbers, but will it translate to W's? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Luckily, the division is not as difficult as it has been. So they'll have to deal with Miami, but that's probably it.
yeah.
The Jets might be decent, maybe, and we'll talk about them later. But yeah. So all right. So the biggest mistake of the draft. So who, in y'all's opinion, was the biggest steal of the draft? I think we'll have some interesting names here.
I'll let you guys go first. I want to see what you guys say.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
To me, biggest steal was Dallas Turner at 17 for the Vikings. I feel like
Okay.
he was the most talented edge in the draft, and the fact that he fell that far is a steal. Now that's just round one. I know it's round one. All the guys are talented,
Mhm.
but him going that far to me for the Vikings is a huge help. So I'll go
Right.
Dallas.
Okay.
So I had three guys, but the first one I put was Blake Corum to the Rams in the third round. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
and
Man.
to top it
Man.
off, the Rams already have Kyron Williams.
Yes,
Like,
he's a beast.
A dog.
Beast.
so you got two
Mhm.
dogs in your running back room in the third round. That's
Yeah.
he was the best running back pretty much last season
Yep.
in
Yeah.
college from Michigan. Led them to a national championship. Like
And stack the box if you
that's
want.
value.
You gotta worry about Koopa and Puka. Can't even stack the box for
Exactly.
it.
Nope.
That's value. That's
Mhm.
if there was any running back that was gonna go first round, it would be him, in my opinion.
Yep.
And they got him in the third round. So that was my biggest steal. But I also had Junior Colson to the Chargers in the third round, and Peyton Wilson to the Steelers. He had some injury concerns,
Yep.
but
He's still
great linebacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are my
I
three
have
guys.
those are actually good ones. My two. So if we're talking about first round like value picks, Brock Bowers to the Raiders at 13. I
Yeah.
thought Brock Bowers was a top 3 talent in the entire draft.
No,
The fact that he
absolutely.
went 13 to the Raiders is crazy. I understand people are mad because the Raiders had Michael Mayer. Was it Michael Mayer from Notre Dame last season?
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you get someone who's as versatile as Brock Bowers, who can block, run routes, catch, I mean, when he blocks, he looks like a tackle. When he runs the ball with his run after catch, he looks like Travis Kelce. When you get a generational talent, people, I remember his breakout game in Georgia. I believe it was the championship. People were like, "Oh man, I wonder, what team's gonna pick him up." And we all found out he was a true freshman. So
Right.
he dominated for his entire career, and to see him go 13, I feel like that was an insane steal. But overall, this might be Bay Area bias, but Troy Franklin in the 4th round,
Yeah.
I don't know how the freak that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
there was something teams didn't know about, but the fact that
He
he
was
gets to
supposed
play with
he
his
was supposed to go first round.
second round at the
Yeah.
worst,
Yeah.
he went 4th, and he gets to play with his quarterback that he set Oregon records with. And we
Yeah.
saw what happens when you give Joe Burrow Jamar Chase and they play together. We saw what happens when you give, Trevor Lawrence with ETN. They lit it up whenever they had a connection. So
Right.
not only does Bo Nix stay on the West Coast, Colorado, Oregon,
Yeah.
but so does Troy Franklin. So the chemistry is already there with your wide receiver 1 and your QB 1. And Sean Payton wouldn't have got Bo Nix if he wouldn't believe in him. He wouldn't have got Troy Franklin if he didn't believe in him. So you got 3 guys who are already on the same page, and in a division that's, other than the Chiefs, I would say wide open with the Chargers and the
Agreed.
Raiders.
Definitely agree.
So I feel like Troy Franklin in the 4th was insane. It was ridiculously, like, bro, I cried every time we passed on him. So shout out to the Broncos, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, that was a great pick, and anytime you can give your rookie quarterback some help and some confidence and chemistry going into
Yeah.
the season, that's a huge plus.
Yeah.
So
They broke records together. That says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll see. If they're what they did in college can translate to the NFL, but it's a great start. That's for sure. Great start.
Yeah.
So let's talk about winners and losers. This is probably the biggest topic of trades. Everybody has their winners
Draft
and losers,
grades.
and draft grades. And we talked about it a little bit, but if you guys have some different things to say. I won't spoil it, but yeah, winners and losers. Let's hear it. I'll start. I'll start, and my first winner is Caleb Williams, first overall pick. But not only that, Chicago Chicago really fleeced last season with that Panthers draft.
Yeah.
Because everybody knew the Panthers were going to be terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
The Panthers knew they were going to be terrible. I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah.
they gave up DJ Moore and they just didn't get any
Got nothing.
better. Like I don't know. Caleb Williams is my first winner because he's coming into a stacked team. First overall picks coming to a terrible team.
Yeah.
Like Houston Texans, David Carr bad.
Yeah.
Like, but this is completely opposite. And so he's my first winner.
Yep. Jeremiah, you can go.
Okay. Yeah. I think man, I think one of my winners is, this might surprise you, but I think JJ McCarthy. I do. The Vikings team is not bad as
I had him as a winner too.
People think. Yeah. He's not as bad. That team's not as bad as people think. So I'm not sure how NFL ready he is, but if he's able to get acclimated and get going quick, the team's decent around him. So he's one of mine.
He also
definitely has weapons with.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was gonna say. You know, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. I still don't think they have a running back, but anyway, they're not looking to run the ball.
Right.
Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback guy, so they're gonna be passing a lot. I had him as a winner too.
My winner, I'm gonna go with the Chargers, man. Chargers, I feel like Harbaugh came in and just they're my dark horse. I wouldn't even say dark horse. I think they have potential to be a 1 or 2 seed in the AFC, honestly.
Wow.
When you have somebody who's like Harbaugh, who has a championship pedigree, when you have someone like that to go from playing in a Super Bowl against his brother, leaving, going to Michigan, turning them into a national champion, and then going to the Chargers, who weren't a bad team.
Right.
He has Justin Herbert, and he did the most important thing you want to do as a coach: protect your quarterback. He took a generational tackle talent over a weapon, which some thought was questionable, but I understood it because we all know what Harbaugh likes to do. He likes to tote that rock.
Right, absolutely.
Not only did that, but he got Joe Alt, Lad McConkey, who also has a championship pedigree playing in Georgia. They picked up Junior Colson, who he coached at Michigan in the 3rd round.
Great linebacker.
And then he got Brendan Rice at the end in the 7th round.
7th round.
So it's like, and he got Cornelius Johnson in the 7th round, who he also coached. Harbaugh turned that team. I'm not saying he turned them into like world killers. They're not chief killers.
Yeah.
But if I'm a Chargers fan, I'm like, oh, we're straight. We're chilling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And they got Cam Hart too. Don't sleep on Cam Hart.
Yeah, he was cold
a great
at Notre
corner.
Dame. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
And then they picked up both of the Ravens running backs. So they got J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
If they can stay healthy.
Yeah.
Hopefully one of them at least stay healthy.
That's gonna be important. But they're out of their Ravens. Whatever Baltimore got going on with their running back situation, I don't know.
Man. Hey, as a Browns fan, I love it. You know, do what you gotta do. I ain't worried about it.
Exactly. But no, they had a great draft. I had them in my winners as well. You know, just guys all over the place. Man. You know, Brendan Rice, legacy wide receiver.
Yeah. See
if he can muster up any of his dad's, pedigree or whatever. That's going to be interesting to see.
And during the draft, I heard, I think Todd McShay said some of the guys he drafted were some of the guys he tried to get to come to Michigan. So he knows a lot of these guys and where they're coming from and what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah.
Harbaugh, he's kind of cheating. It's kind of like
A little bit.
Yeah.
It feels like cheating. It's not illegal, but it feels like cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely has an advantage from seeing these guys playing against them, scouting
Exactly.
them,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I had another winner. I had was Green Bay. They had an incredible draft, man. Like just the team that they had last year being the youngest team and what they did to us, like
Man.
Got better.
they got better. And you have to include the fact that they brought in Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
It ran back.
Yep.
They just got better all over the field, and like I said, it just adds to the fact that
Vikings got Aaron Jones.
the Vikings got Aaron
Right?
Jones.
Or am I lying?
Yeah.
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 They did.
Like 2 minutes after they got Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones
they
was
split,
in this
yeah.
one. Yeah. Dang.
Gosh.
McCarthy's
Sorry, they're just like
okay. I might be a believer. I might be.
Yeah, he said for sure. But no, the
Yeah.
Green Bay had a great draft. Jordan Morgan, decent O-lineman, Arizona. Adrian Cooper, who was wreaking havoc, taking him.
Dog.
Marshawn Lloyd from USC, speed guy.
Mhm.
Of course, they got rid of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. Probably not. But anyway,
That guy stinks. That guy reeks. Man.
but honestly, one of their better picks was Kalen King, their 7th round corner.
Mhm.
I'm surprised he dropped that low.
Yeah, 7th is insane for that.
But Green Bay did what Green Bay does, and they drafted a quarterback, Michael Pratt, out of Tulane in the 7th round. Got to have a backup, I guess.
Yeah.
Somebody that you can develop so you don't have to pay Jordan Love.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I mentioned this a while back, but I'm through with the Packers. That was my team, die-hard team. I got like 10 Packer beanies upstairs in my room. That was the team, but when we did what we did to Devontae Adams, never going back. So,
man,
best of luck to them.
You don't miss him a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit.
A little bit. I was proud of what I was proud of what they did. But still, no, I'm not gonna wish you success after you do that to a generational wide receiver.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
They can still be playing for them right now.
Right.
Man.
Any other winners, guys? Any other winners y'all have?
I got one. Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
The Philadelphia Eagles. Man.
Yeah.
What a draft.
They do it every year. I don't know how.
Every year, bro. And they needed cornerbacks. They got 2 of the best, probably.
Yeah.
And they got really 2 guys from Clemson, Will Shipley and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Both, I think, great picks for the future. They got everything they needed: defense, offense, a lot of linebackers, receiver. So they're set. I think definitely their outlook on the next season is going to be very, very different.
That's my last winner is Washington. I don't think they're gonna win an insane amount of games, but they got their quarterback. They got Jazon Newton in the 2nd round. Yeah, and you put him next to Jonathan Allen, and I forgot the name of the other tackle they have. They have like 3 6-foot fire hydrants in that middle, and it's gonna be so hard to run against them. And then they picked up Luke McCaffrey in the 3rd round, which I think is gonna be a great pairing with Scary Terry and Jahan Dotson. I think that team, it's a respect. You got to respect them, but I don't think they're going to be the garbage cans we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I agree. They drafted well. I had them as a winner as well. I hated putting Philly and Washington on this winner. They just drafted so much better than the Cowboys, and they had a lot more picks too.
It's true.
Because, but Philly traded a lot. Yeah, I think Philly had the most trades, if I'm not mistaken.
For sure.
Yeah. They play Madden for real.
Absolutely. Howie Roseman, is that his name?
Yeah,
Howie. I know it's Howie. Yeah, but he's a great GM. He knows how to get players. And us being in Clemson country, I know what Jeremiah Trotter Jr. can do.
For sure.
his
Man.
dad being playing there, and the running back
Will Shipley.
Will Shipley. He's a good running back
Man.
because Saquon is going to get hurt. I mean, his hamstrings are
Yeah.
not
Ankles too.
Yeah.
Not done.
So that's a good pick.
Yeah.
My last winner that I had that hadn't been discussed already was the Jets.
They did well.
They had a good draft too. They drafted a lot of needs. And they got some decent weapons as well. They drafted Jordan Travis, a great quarterback out of FSU. We'll see what he can develop and turn into. I just thought they had a really good draft. Surprisingly, they don't really draft well historically, but it'll be interesting to see what they can do.
Yeah, they got Malachi Corley, who I wanted so bad. I love Malachi Corley. He's Debo Samuel for real. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and they got Braylon Allen. I wanted the Cowboys to get Braylon Allen. That was my second guy. If they didn't get Blake Corum, they were talking about him like all off season. Like they were going to draft him, and they just didn't. Braylon Allen.
You might have to suit him.
Round,
you might have to suit him. You might have to play running back for Dallas. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah. Go join the running back room.
You might have to go to the tryouts, man. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's crazy. They had a pretty decent draft.
I would have liked one more, maybe guard or one more tackle just to help out.
Yeah,
Rodgers, depending on if he's going to be able to play.
Yeah.
But it's still a good draft for sure.
Yeah.
So let's switch over to losers. I'm not going to mention my loser again. You already know who that is. But if y'all have any other losers, and I do have a loser. The Giants. I had the Giants.
Yeah.
I think just the fact that they didn't draft a quarterback is just kind of surprising to me. They're sticking with Daniel Jones, and whatever that means for them, yeah.
My loser, I'm gonna go with the Niners. This is no shade on Ricky Pearsall. I like him. I actually think he's really good. But to go with him at 31, with Cooper still on the board, and they need secondary help bad. They need O-lineman help bad. Trent Williams I'm not saying he's on the decline and like he stinks, but he's getting older. They didn't address any tackle, any DB. I mean, they addressed DB in the second round with Renardo Green, who's pretty good. I like him. But picking Ricky Pearsall there, and then I'm looking at the rest of their draft. They picked up Isaac Guerendo, who I thought was a top 3 back in the draft, but they picked him up knowing you have CMC, you have Elijah Mitchell still, and I forgot they picked up another running back in free agency. And I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to address. Maybe they had some underlying things that I didn't know about, but I don't feel like the Niners got better through the draft. Especially with a lot of these young NFC teams on the rise, Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas is always going to be in the mix. I feel like the way they addressed the draft was not a way to beat these teams that they're going to have to face in the playoffs. So,
yeah, and I had them as a loser as well. I don't know what their thought process was, and what they really trying to do with the draft. I mean, they did make the Super Bowl, so we can't say that they have a lot of needs, but it's just interesting. We'll see, if these guys even play at all. I mean, sometimes that happens to where you have rookies that just don't really add anything to the team, in their first year or two. But I had them as a loser as well.
Yeah, I had the Giants too, and I threw Carolina in there a little bit, just because I don't know. I guess maybe I just want Bryce to have more help than what they got, but I guess they got what they could. So But really, the Giants, yeah, they keep taking receivers early that don't pan out to be anything. So,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you don't have a quarterback to get on the ball, then
right, yeah.
what
Yeah.
What's the point?
what is a weapon if you don't have a good quarterback to get on the ball? That's
And you know, the only team taking that Daniel Jones contract is a XFL team. That's
Yeah,
probably the only team
for sure.
willing to pay him 40 M's
exactly.
because
You
that's
gotta wait till the
great.
spring, my boy. You gotta wait till the spring to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw it. There was a press conference. They asked Malik Neighbors, how do you feel about Daniel Jones? He was like, we're just gonna have to wait and see. You know, he's my quarterback now. Like he didn't even like hype him up, like, yeah, I watched this game, I've seen him play. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen guys gas up like Mitchell Trubisky when they get drafted. Like
Right.
they didn't even show Daniel Jones on no love because he's not
Nope.
good.
No.
So,
Yeah.
Nah. And outside of the Malik Neighbors pick, again, underwhelming draft.
Yeah.
So a team that didn't have a lot of picks, surprisingly. I don't know
They haven't
where they traded those picks to.
they
but
haven't been very active at
Yeah.
all. So
yeah.
yeah. But those are our winners and losers. We're nearing the end of this episode, but want to have a discussion because there were a lot of quarterbacks drafted
Yep.
in this draft, and from Caleb Williams all the way to Michael Pratt in the seventh round, a lot of quarterbacks drafted. And so, in y'all's opinion, who do y'all think is going to be the best quarterback of this draft? As far as you can either be this season for the teams that are the quarterbacks that are going to be playing, or just career wise.
If we're talking about this season, I'm probably gonna put my money on Caleb Williams. He's just set up for success. I know it sounds like the easy pick, but let's say, God forbid, knock on wood, let's say DJ Moore goes down. You still got Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen.
Yep.
I honestly don't think the biggest problem there is that there's a lot of mouths to feed. I feel like that's their only problem.
yeah.
And depending on who you ask, that's not even a problem. So
Right.
I feel like Caleb Williams will definitely have the best season. I feel like down the line, though, Michael Penix is probably going to have the best career. He's stand-up guy. He's a
Absolutely.
professional. He's a coach's quarterback. And he's also set up with weapons around him with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. And let's be honest, the Falcons are going to get more talent to put around him moving forward. So I would say the immediate Caleb Williams, long-term Michael Penix.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Immediate, I also have Caleb Williams. I think he'll have probably the best first year out of all the QBs. But long term, I also got Penix as probably going to have the best career. Like I say, he's going to be one of the only ones to sit and be able to, well, depending on if Kirk stays healthy, but one of the ones that sits can kind of learn under a veteran, get that NFL experience. So I think he'll probably have the best career.
Yeah, I had for this season, I had either Caleb Williams or JJ McCarthy. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
Just because of the weapons, but not only that, the coaching.
Yeah.
Like, do we think JJ McCarthy is any worse than Kirk Cousins? Like, I think that's the question we have to ask. The weapons he has around him and the coaching with O'Connell, I think they're gonna set him up for success. And you know, he has a running game. Aaron Jones is gonna come in and really
With a chip on his shoulder.
he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder. Especially against Green Bay and against Dallas.
Absolutely.
Whenever they play, because y'all want to steal Dallas. But for better career, I said if he can stay healthy, I think Jaden Daniels can be a quarterback that
I like that.
can do some things if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he has a slight frame, but we've seen some smaller quarterbacks have some success in the league, and it really just depends on coaching, and he has some weapons around him too. So it's going to be interesting to see not every quarterback is going to be, uh, Hall of Famer
Yeah.
or All Star or a Pro Bowler in this case.
Yeah.
But um, but yeah, those are my quarterbacks.
That's good. Those are good picks.
Yep. So looking into the season coming up, which team do y'all think, based on the draft, their outlook changed the most, just based on the draft, and from before the draft it looked this way, and then now that the drafting, we see it maybe a different way.
I kind of mentioned mine earlier, but I said the Eagles for sure. You look at last season, how they just had a downward spiral towards the end. And I feel like the energy, the aura around the team was very negative, wasn't great. I think you bring in a lot of young, talented guys on defense and offense. So I feel like the Eagles definitely, their outlook is going to be changed the most.
That's a good one. I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I just feel like after that Jacksonville choke in the playoffs, they just been trending downward ever since. A team that was stacked and had high hopes with Justin Herbert emerging as one of the premier quarterbacks. I feel like everybody was just kind of getting lower on them. They choked in the playoffs against Trevor Lawrence. And then the season comes, and they had some injuries, but they also just had some bad play. I think the Raiders scored, what was it, 63 on them? And then that's when their coach got fired, I think a week later.
Yeah.
To have your interdivisional, the Raiders scored, I think, 63 points on them, or was it 59? It's still, either way, it's bad.
Yeah.
And then we saw, the coach get fired literally like less than 24 hours later. And people were like, how do they bounce back from this? Well, you get Harbaugh, who knows these college guys in and out. You sign a tackle who's going to keep Justin Herbert healthy, and you don't have to worry about season-ending injuries. And you get a running game. And why not get a running game from one of the best running teams in the league? And not only that, you get Greg Roman, who was familiar with these running backs as the offensive coordinator.
Right.
So Greg Roman now has a quarterback who throws better than Lamar. You get the running backs who were right behind Lamar, and you get a head coach who knows how to win in tough divisions. And I don't know, man. Harbaugh, the way I was looking at these clips, I was like, I want to be a Chargers fan. Harbaugh was in there singing. He was like, put your mom on the phone. I want to hear her scream, bolt up. Bruh, I want to bolt up. So I think I'm really excited for the Chargers this upcoming season, man.
Yeah, for sure. The AFC West definitely got more interesting, and probably got somebody that can rival the Chiefs, because that division is really easy for them. And so
it was like the old Patriots in the AFC East.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you gotta have coaches, and then Antonio Pierce, he said they got the Mahomes rule, so we'll see what happens with that. My team was Atlanta, but not actually positive. I think their outlook with the Michael Penix draft pick, you might see divided locker rooms, you might see divided fan base when we want Penix to play. That's just not a move you make. Like, it's just a weird pick.
Yeah.
So I think Atlanta's outlook changed. Everybody was saying that Atlanta's gonna win the division, that they got Kirk Cousins, and so now I think it's gonna go down a little bit, and just based on that. But yeah, it was a very, very good draft. A lot of teams did well for themselves, and some didn't. And so now we're on OTAs and practices, and getting these rookies in and getting them signed, and getting them on the field. And so we'll definitely be looking forward to that in the near future. Any last words, fellas?
Not really. Oh, shout out my Browns. We finally freed from the shackles of that Deshaun trade. We now have a first round pick next season. We got all of our picks now. Every single one of them.
Shout out to the Browns.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we had a first round, man.
For sure. Well, we're thank you again, Flam, so much.
Appreciate it.
We are looking
Thank
forward
you.
to
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. Thank you for coming on. We're definitely going to be doing a lot more this NFL season. Having you on for sure. So we all look forward to that. Let us know how your team drafted in the comment section. Hit that notification bell so you see all of our content. Like the video, subscribe, go over to Flam's channel. Flam, shout out your channel so that our fans can go over to yours and subscribe as well.
YouTube.com/FlamGodGaming. It's a bunch of gaming videos. I will be sprinkling a lot more NFL news or just my outlook on certain situations similar to this one. It'll be primarily just I might do like weekly updates as far as Browns games and like big NFL news, stuff like that. I definitely want to add a lot more just NFL work to the channel. So I'm working on it. Definitely got something. I got things plans, things in the books. You guys will be involved as well. So yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
No, absolutely appreciate you. And we're definitely look forward to coming on to your channel and giving our takes and things like that. So yeah, definitely a great collaboration. But y'all go over to Flam's channel, subscribe, man. His videos are hilarious. This guy is a top tier entertainer.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And yeah, he knows ball too. Follow him on Twitter too. He knows what he's talking about. He played football, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So y'all subscribe and look forward to
Shout out to the jerseys, man. My
yes,
babies.
sir. Y'all see it for sure. But that's gonna wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening to this episode of the Talking Sports Podcast. And until next time, peace.
Peace.